My last video was called something along the lines of "Don't waste your time with your practice." I'd seen a private client via Zoom. It was our first lesson. He told me that he'd done a bit of pentatonic and a bit of blues scales and a bit of a tune, but he just didn't really feel like he was progressing very much. So I asked him the kind of crucial question: what are your major scales like? Could you play me, for example, E flat major? And the answer was no. And the point of my last video was your major scales are the gold standard. It's the thing that's going to drive you forward the most. In this video, I'm going to give you some things to practice that are going to guarantee you get some growth. You're going to be practicing your major scale in a really cool way, by the way, which is fun. Major scale pattern and the chord tones of a major scale, and you're going to practice your minor scale and a pattern in your minor scale and the minor scale chord tones, and I'm going to show you how to do some cool improvisation over that. You're going to get, completely free of charge, a PDF where I've written down everything that we're going to do in this video. Not only that, I'm using this fabulous backing track, because the way that I like to practice and also practice with my clients is that if you put things to a backing track, it kind of brings things to life. It brings context to what you're playing, and also it makes you a bit more disciplined and aware of timing as well, so everything comes together in a much more musical way. Now, I'm using the superb app SessionBand Soul Jazz Funk Volume 3, and I strongly recommend that you go out and buy this. It's not expensive. It's got hundreds of tracks that you can manipulate: major, minor, dominant, seventh, almost virtually infinite ways that you can change these to suit what it is that you're practicing on. But what I've done is I've contacted SessionBand and asked them if it would be all right if I make a downloadable MP3 of what we're working on today. And they said yes, so isn't that nice? The only thing that I would ask is, please, would you subscribe to my channel, because that really helps the algorithm, which quite frankly I don't understand, but it really helps if I get more subscribers. And if I get much more subscribers, then it pushes my channel out, which makes the channel more healthy, and then I can make more free content. So please, would you subscribe? I'd really appreciate it. And this video is for alto saxophone. So what it says on the PDF, it says, what to practice to be sure of growth. Your major scales are the foundations of everything else. Knowing your major scales may not make you the world's greatest player, but it will make everything easier. Now, it really does make everything easier, because tunes are built up of the notes of major scales. They just are. So if you want to play tunes or you want to be able to improvise, it's essential that you know your major scales. You really need to have your major scales down. But practicing them doesn't have to be boring. Let's take C major. I'm going to use a backing track, which is SessionBand Soul Jazz Funk Volume 3 on a 70s funk vibe, and that's what I've got here. Now, I've gone into settings and into the edit area, and I've muted off the tenor saxophone, and I've gone into here and I've made sure that this is set to E flat, so that that's compatible with my alto saxophone. Now, this is saying C major, and that's going to fit with my C major on the alto. And the first thing that we're going to do is just to make sure that we can play the scale straight up and down. Now, I'm doing it on C, but you need to do this in all keys really, or lots of keys, and particularly work on the keys that you feel the least comfortable with. So the first thing it says is play the scale straight up and down to the ninth. The notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C and D, and then coming down again. And the thing is that going beyond the root makes it sound more interesting and already starts to sound like an exercise. Now, I can demonstrate what I mean, and it just does sound rather lovely. Here we go. Coming down from there. Now, if I get comfortable doing that, what I could do is vary the timing going up and down, and I think this is a really good exercise as well, because it starts to sound like an improvisation. Have a listen. It's the same notes, exactly the same notes, same sequence. And it already starts to sound really nice. Now, what you want to do is you want to be able to do this in, like I said, in lots of different keys, and ultimately you want to be able to do this in every key, and that's going to make a huge difference. Then the next thing that I've said on the PDF is use a pattern exercise. And in numbers, again, when you describe this in words or you write it down, it looks rather complex, but actually musically it's quite a simple idea, but it's really nice. It gets you moving around the scale and it sounds so pretty. And what we're doing is we're going from the third note, so we're going 3, 4, 5, 3. That would be E, F, G, E, and it's all written down on the PDF for you. And I'm going to start with the octave key on in this case. Then I'm going to make the same sort of pattern, but starting on the 7th, which is 7 root 9 and 7, or 7 root 2 and 7, depending on which way you want to look at it. It's B, C, D and B. And then I'm doing exactly the same thing starting on the 5th, which is G, A, B, G. So let's have a look at that. I'm going to do it slowly first. Second time I'll pick the tempo up. Third time I'll throw it around just a little bit. Have a listen. Really, that is such a lovely pattern, and if you do that over a major scale, as you can hear, it sounds really nice. So why would I encourage somebody to do this? Well, it's getting you to move around the scale in a really nice way, and it's helping you get used to starting on the chord tones, the 3rd, the 7th and the 5th, and these are the sweet spots of the scale. The last thing that I'm going to do, and if you have a look at the PDF, it says I'm going to hit the chord tones, the root 3, 5, 7 and 9. I'm going to do that going straight up and down, making sure you feel comfortable, and then once I'm comfortable, have a little jam on the chord tones. Practicing in this way with a backing track helps your brain connect the scales to real musical function. So again, I'm just going to play the chord tones, root 3, 5, 7 and 9, and then I'll come down. Second time I'll do it a little bit more fluidly, and then I'm going to have a little jam. So have a listen. If I throw that around, and that was just the chord tones. I wasn't doing any notes outside of that. So now if I put those three ideas together, scale, that little pattern, and then the chord tones, it's going to sound really nice. And what this is doing, it's making my brain connect beautiful improvisation and hopefully having some fun and something which sounds really nice to the kind of, you know, boring scale, if you see what I mean. So have a listen. If you could do that in every key, imagine how versatile you would be. So this is a really good way to spend your practice time. Then on the PDF we've said do minor scales. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the edit button of my app. I'm going to change this to D. Then I'm going to touch this square and I'm going to scroll down until I see minor 7, and now that backing track is now in D minor for me. And I'm going to do the same kind of thing on my Dorian minor. Now strangely, this is exactly the same bunch of notes as C major, but starting on a different point. It's a D minor and it's the second mode of C major. And why I think this is a good thing is that it's actually getting me to use these same notes but in a different way. And what it says on the PDF is that to play the scale straight up and down to the 9th, the notes will be, as you can see, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D and E, and back down. So let's do that. Coming down from there. If I just vary that slightly. People take the mickey out of me because I say it sounds gorgeous, but it does. It just sounds really lovely to my ear. It just sounds lovely. Then I've given you an exercise here. By the way, you get this free backing track as well. The D minor backing track is all downloadable for you. Then we've got a pattern exercise which is really similar to what we were doing in C major, but again using slightly different notes. So we're going to do 9, 10, 11, 9, which is E, F, G, E, and then we're going to start on the 7th, which is C, D, E, C, and then we're going to start on the 5th, which is getting me used to using the chord tones, and it's just going to sound lovely. Let's have a listen to that. And again, if I practice that a lot and I get fluid with it, can you see how nice it sounds if I throw the timing around? It just sounds lovely. And then on the last part, it says chord tones exercise. Play the chord tones, the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th and the 9th, which are D, F, A, C and E. I'd practice them straight up and down and then also have a jam on them. So let's try that. A little bit quicker. Now jam. And again, I think that sounds just beautiful, really, really nice. I could lose myself in that kind of practice, and that kind of practice is really, really useful because you're working the chord tones and you can't go wrong if you're hitting the chord tones. And the last part of the PDF, it says practicing both majors and minors in multiple keys will build confidence and dexterity. Start with keys that you're comfortable with, like C major and D minor, and then perhaps maybe add D major and E minor, and then maybe G major and A minor, and then you can move on to more challenging keys if you feel like it. So This is going to make you pretty much bulletproof. If you can do this in any key, it's just going to make you definitely very robust in lots of musical situations. It just will. It doesn't mean that you have to practice this exclusively. You can always practice your pentatonics and your blues licks and practice a tune and practice some improvising. But I would make this a third of your practice. If you're not 100% sure about your majors and your minors, then I would spend a third of your time at least practicing like this in this way. Please subscribe to my channel if you found this useful and helpful, and if you'd like me to keep producing hopefully useful tutorials with free backing tracks and free PDFs, please do subscribe to the channel. That would really help me out such a lot. Also, you can email me at lyndon@saxmadesimple.com. I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to get your feedback, and you can help me shape the direction in which this YouTube channel goes. I better go. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.